I beat my husband's training partner at the supermarket. She once again pushed me aside and held onto my husband, chatting incessantly. I decided to walk away to buy some snacks. My husband finally got away from her, saying he needed to check on me. She followed him, saw the snacks in my hands, and exclaimed, "Oh, how can you eat such junk food? It's so unhealthy. We boxers have strict discipline and never eat this stuff." I replied, "I like to eat what I like. BTW English isn't my first language, so I apologize for errors." But she then started messaging my husband from time to time. I was naturally angry and told my husband not to respond to her messages. He was quite helpless, saying, "She's asking me about training techniques. I can't just ignore her. We've known each other as teammates for so many years." Every time she saw me at the gym, she made a point to say, "We only talk about training in our messages. Don't worry about it." During training, she would cling to my husband, touching his shoulder and waist, using the excuse of correcting his training movements. My patience was nearly at its limit. Once, when I accompanied my husband to the gym and changed into sportswear, intending to train with them, she started her act again. Since she had been training at this gym for many years, she always led the warm-up exercises. She deliberately made the warm-up more difficult and intense than usual, making everyone exhausted and gasping for breath. She ran over to me and proudly said, "This intensity is just ordinary for us. The actual training will be even tougher. It's normal for you to find it hard at the beginning. You'll get used to it with more practice." I smiled and replied, "I'm not tired. I just think this warm-up is not scientifically sound." She got angry and pulled my husband's arm, saying she doesn't know anything but acts like she knows everything. My husband patted her arm down and said, "My girlfriend is a professional boxer." She looked confused and I said, "I also do boxing. Today I'll use one of your punching bags." She was surprised and excited, suggesting we spar in a real fight that day, but I didn't want to do that and told her I didn't feel like it. She began insulting me, saying, "I get it. Most girls who do boxing just want to look good. They are timid and weak, afraid of real combat. Very few girls are like me, tough like a man, not afraid of getting hit." I got annoyed and decided to fight her to shut her up. I told her, "Fine, let's do it." She condescendingly said, "Don't worry, I'll take it easy on you." My husband saw that I was genuinely upset and didn't know how to deal with her constant pestering. He helped me put on my boxing gloves and mouthguard and gently said, "Don't get too angry. Just open up your heart and spar, but be gentle." When the fight started, she came at me like a mad woman, throwing heavy punches. What happened to take it easy on me? I dodged and evaded, occasionally asking her, "Why are you so aggressive?" She ignored me and kept on attacking with full force. It was evident that she wanted to bully the weak. If I were a complete beginner, she would have beaten me badly. She had gone too far, and I had had enough. I didn't want to engage with amateurs, lowering myself to their level or disregarding martial principles. But when someone provokes continuously and tries to snatch my man, even animals have territorial disputes, let alone humans. So I stopped being defensive and started to counterattack. Although I didn't go all out, I did hit her hard enough to make it painful. She couldn't last a minute against me. I am a boxer, and martial artists should cultivate their moral character. When faced with strength, they should respond with strength and be willing to challenge those stronger than themselves rather than taking advantage of the weak. She had trained for a long time and thought she could bully others, so I just gave her a small lesson. Since she wanted to act like a tough woman and one of the boys, I dealt with her like how I would treat a guy. After I gave her a beating, she finally stopped bothering me. I'll give you guys an update if she does anything again. I fought her husband this time. After defeating that girl, I strangely felt a bit guilty, as if I had used unfair means to bully her. Also, due to the busy preparation for a competition during that period, I hadn't accompanied my partner to his boxing gym for a long time. After about half a year, the competition came to an end, and after repeated requests from my partner, I visited the gym again. This time, that girl's husband was there. It turned out she was married with 2 children. I really don't understand why she still tried to flirt with my partner. Her husband used to be the coach of both her and my partner. After she was beaten by me last time, she must have gone home and complained about it. So this time, as soon as her husband saw me, he provocatively came over and explicitly said he wanted to have a match with me under the guise of sparring. Looking at his 80 kg physique and around 6 feet, I was reluctant. As we all know, boxing matches are divided into weight classes, and with my small build, it was a bit risky to fight a big guy who had animosity toward me. Then that girl started mocking me. My damn pride got the best of me and I got heated. "Let's fight." Initially, my partner didn't agree and I repeatedly persuaded him. This person was your former coach, and he is still coaching at this club. The head coach and other assistant coaches are present today. He wouldn't dare to go too far. The head coach, a highly respected martial arts master with white hair, had known my partner since he was young. Although he was no longer coaching competitive athletes and only played with kids, he was still a revered figure. The other two assistant coaches were experienced former combat athletes, one of whom had participated in many world-class competitions, and the other was a current referee. All three of them were mentors my partner had known for many years and could be fully trusted. So I successfully persuaded my partner, and in the presence of the three coaches, I stepped into the boxing ring with that person. Because he had a clear advantage in weight and training experience, but his physical stamina was definitely inferior to mine, I chose a strategy of endurance, keep a distance and stay in the safe zone, move back and forth, harass him with feints, disrupt his rhythm, and drain his energy. Then seize the opportunity to explode with punches, striving for each punch to be precise. When there was a chance, I would follow up with combinations. After the fight, I would retreat, not engage in close combat with him. Since he had never competed before and was older, his on-the-spot reactions were clearly not as fast as mine. He was slow and lacked speed, and I was able to hit him quite easily. He also managed to hit me, causing some damage, but I could handle it. I have a naturally sturdy chin. I had been training with male boxers for a long time, so my ability to take hits was decent. As time went on, his physical stamina dropped rapidly while I maintained a stable performance. It was evident to the naked eye that he was becoming increasingly enraged, huffing and puffing, his whole body tensing up to strike every punch. I became more cautious and careful not to let him get close to me. The three coaches on the sidelines also intervened, telling him not to go too far, but the risk of injury to me was not significant, so the match wasn't interrupted. From the perspective of pure training, it was a very good real combat opportunity. And throughout the confrontation, I was immersed in a state of flow, very calm, cautious, full of fighting spirit, but not reckless, freely moving around, mainly because he was so slow and accurately hitting him whenever the chance arose. But then a turning point came. Birds of a feather flock together. People are distinguished by social circles. How could the husband of the tomboy be a normal person? I was too naive, really. Who would have expected him to be so shameless? Feeling embarrassed by being beaten by me, he resorted to a dirty trick in front of everyone. When I got close to him, he grabbed my neck with one hand and wildly pounded the back of my head with the other. This is strictly forbidden in both competitions and training. Before the match, we had agreed to follow boxing rules, and it was witnessed by everyone. So I had no defense against such a cheap shot. I was knocked down directly. This guy had no martial ethics at all. The three coaches rushed over to check if I was injured. In reality, I was fine. I was just taken aback. Being lifted up by the old grandpa and stretched, taking deep breaths, I looked around for my partner. Through the human wall of the three coaches, I saw my partner beating that person like crazy. Compared to that guy, my partner was taller, stronger, younger, and more experienced in combat. That guy had no power to fight back at all. After the coaches checked on me and found that I was indeed fine, they hesitated for a while before intervening to break up the fight. At this point, that guy's face was covered in blood from being beaten by my partner. Later, we had a serious conversation. The three coaches took turns criticizing him for committing a serious foul. That girl chimed in, "It's clearly your fault. Why did you hit so hard?" That guy actually agreed with his wife's words, nodding repeatedly. "We agreed to spar, but you hit too hard, so I didn't follow the rules." The old man was amused. "You've never competed in your life, so you thought it was too hard. Her moves were completely within the norm for a boxer." "Are you made of glass? You are so big, yet you can't handle the punches of a girl weighing a little over 50 kilos. The other two coaches directly suggested that he be banned from coaching at the gym. This guy was reluctant to apologize to me. There was no follow-up after that. From then on, both he and that girl avoided us like ghosts whenever we were at the gym. He also managed to hit me, causing some damage, but I could handle it. I have a naturally sturdy chin. I had been training with male boxers for a long time, so my ability to take hits was decent. As time went on, his physical stamina dropped rapidly while I maintained a stable performance. It was evident to the naked eye that he was becoming increasingly enraged, huffing and puffing, his whole body tensing up to strike every punch. I became more cautious and careful not to let him get close to me. The three coaches on the sidelines also intervened, telling him not to go too far, but the risk of injury to me was not significant, so the match wasn't interrupted. From the perspective of pure training, it was a very good real combat opportunity. And throughout the confrontation, I was immersed in a state of flow, very calm, cautious, full of fighting spirit, but not reckless, freely moving around, mainly because he was so slow and accurately hitting him whenever the chance arose. But then a turning point came. He also managed to hit me, causing some damage, but I could handle it. I have a naturally sturdy chin. I had been training with male boxers for a long time, so my ability to take hits was decent. As time went on, his physical stamina dropped rapidly while I maintained a stable performance. It was evident to the naked eye that he was becoming increasingly enraged, huffing and puffing, his whole body tensing up to strike every punch. I became more cautious and careful not to let him get close to me. The three coaches on the sidelines also intervened, telling him not to go too far, but the risk of injury to me was not significant, so the match wasn't interrupted. From the perspective of pure training, it was a very good real combat opportunity. And throughout the confrontation, I was immersed in a state of flow, very calm, cautious, full of fighting spirit, but not reckless, freely moving around, mainly because he was so slow and accurately hitting him whenever the chance arose. But then a turning point came.